Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm the Southern Nerdista. In today's episode of Doctor Who, the Doctor and Rose travel to 1941 London in the middle of the Blitz, where they meet the incredible Captain Jack Harkness, investigate a plague of weird injuries, and pursue a ghostly child in a gas mask. So, previously on Doctor Who, the Doctor has returned as his 9th regeneration, and he's picked up a new companion in Rose Tyler. Together they save humanity from the living plastic and nesting consciousness. They travel to the year 5 billion, where we meet the Face of Bo and Lady Cassandra, who will return. Then to 1869 Wales to hunt zombies with Charles Dickens. Back in the present, an alien spaceship crashes into the Thames River, putting the planet on red alert. The Doctor and Rose, along with her mom Jackie, sort of ex-boyfriend Mickey, and new friend and future Prime Minister Harriet Jones work together to bring down the Slitheen. From London, a distress signal takes the Doctor and Rose deep below the Utah desert, where they discover the last of the Doctor's mortal enemy, the Dalek, held prisoner in an alien museum, and we pick up a new companion, Adam Mitchell. In the year 200,000, the Doctor, Rose, and Adam stop the mighty Jagrafess from continuing to enslave humanity and slow its development, but not before Adam tries to mess with time for personal gain and gets permanently banned from the TARDIS. Rose takes a page from Adam's book and tries to rewrite her own past when she saves her dad from the car crash meant to kill him. In the end, her dad sacrifices himself to put time back the way it's supposed to be, and the Doctor shows Rose has had a positive influence on his surly, unforgiving demeanor. There have been references to Bad Wolf in almost every episode, and we learned the last great Time War between the Daleks and Time Lords ended when the Doctor, a Time Lord himself, annihilates everyone to save the universe. But it comes with a heavy price, as the Doctor is the only survivor and has to live with the guilt of what he's done. So, kind of makes sense why he's so moody. Alright, this is the first episode written by Stephen Moffat, who will later succeed Russell T Davies as head writer and showrunner for the modern series. It introduces the omnisexual Captain Jack Harkness, the first LGBT character in the history of the show, played by John Barrowman. Another significant role for Barrowman is Malcolm Merlyn in the Arrowverse. Captain Jack is an American and also former time agent. They were first mentioned in an episode with the 4th Doctor. He will go on to lead Torchwood. We've talked about Torchwood before. It is established that Jack comes from the 51st century. This is particularly significant period in the Doctor Who fictional universe, being the time of the Great Breakout, an expansionistic period where mankind headed for the stars, as well as the home era of K9. Other historical events of the 51st century include a new ice age, a near world war, early experiments in time travel, and the establishment of the time agents. Several future episodes, all written by Moffat, will take place in this era as well. Russell T Davies has said to have named Captain Jack Harkness after Agatha Harkness from the Fantastic Four comics. And where have we heard that name recently? It was Agatha all along. That's right, WandaVision. This is part 1 of a 2-part story. Spoiler warning, guys. The Southern Nerdista does give spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, pause this video, go watch the episode, and then come back. If you don't care about spoilers, then just carry on, my wayward companions. Alright, so getting into the episode. The Doctor and Rose chase a metal cylinder through time and space until they run it down in the middle of London. But because it was jumping time tracks, they land the TARDIS a couple weeks to a month after the cylinder. It's hard to tell because of all the time hops. The Doctor and Rose step out of the TARDIS into a London alleyway at night, and the Doctor plans to ask around if anyone saw something fall from the sky. His psychic paper says he is Dr. John Smith from the Ministry of Asteroids. John Smith is a name the regenerations of the Doctor have used as an alias at some time or another, all throughout the Doctor Who series. The Doctor hears some music coming from a building, and he uses his sonic screwdriver to break in. However, Rose hears a small child calling for his mom and goes searching for him. She finds a young boy with a gas mask on the roof. So after the singer finishes, the Doctor steps to the microphone to ask if anyone has seen anything fall from the sky in the last few days, and everyone starts to laugh. And then sirens begin to wail. And on the wall is a poster showing it's 1941. We're in the middle of the London Blitz. Quick history lesson, if you don't know what the Blitz refers to, basically Nazi Germany was mad about a nighttime air raid that the UK carried out against Berlin, and this was their retaliation. It lasted 8 months, with Germans dropping thousands of bombs, which killed 43,000 civilians and destroyed over 1 million homes. All right, back to our episode. Meanwhile, as Rose tries to reach the boy, the rope she's climbing moves as the balloon it's attached to rises into the air, and she hangs on for dear life amid a current bombing of London by the German Luftwaffe. The Doctor returns to the TARDIS with no sign of Rose anywhere because she's hanging over the London skyline. The outside phone rings on the TARDIS, which the Doctor finds odd considering it's not a real working phone. A young lady appears in the alley and tells him not to answer it. But when has the Doctor ever done what he's told to? In fact, if you tell him don't do something, it's most likely he's going to do it. On the other end of the line, the little boy asks over and over, "Mummy, are you my mummy?" until the phone goes dead in his hand. A noise draws the Doctor's attention, and he looks over the wall to see a family taking shelter from the air raid. As they go into a bunker, the same young lady sneaks into their house where she loots their pantry for food. A man in a Royal Air Force uniform spots Rose still clinging to the rope. A British officer calls him Jack and asks if he's going to go to the shelter, but Jack is too distracted by Rose's butt. He grins at the officer before telling him he has to meet a girl, but the officer has a nice butt too. Rose loses her grip on the rope. Screaming as she falls, Jack catches her in a light field, and after turning off her phone, which this strange man not only knows about but isn't freaked out by, she slides into his arms, literally. They exchange a few hellos, but when he sets her on her feet, she faints. Homeless children join the young woman, Nancy, at the house, who has fixed them something to eat. The Doctor sits with them at the table and starts asking about the cylinder, but before they can answer, there's a knocking at the window. The same child's voice repeating, "Where's Mummy?" He moves to the door and Nancy locks him out. She tells the other children to leave out the back way and warns the Doctor that he's not really a child and not to touch him or the Doctor will become just like him. Empty. The phone in the house rings and it's the child still asking for his mummy. Nancy hangs up and leaves the Doctor with the child. He agrees to let the boy in, but when he opens the door, there's nobody there. Rose, meanwhile, wakes up on Captain Jack's ship. He tries to use psychic paper on her, but she isn't fooled because she has seen this before. She knows it only shows her what he wants her to see, which is apparently that he's single and works out. To Rose's embarrassment, when she hands it back, it says she has a sort of boyfriend but considers herself to be very available. He tells her to stop pretending because he can spot a time agent from a mile away. In fact, he's been expecting her. He invites her outside for a drink and she discovers they're on an invisible floating ship tethered to Big Ben. The Doctor follows Nancy to an abandoned train car where she stores the food she scavenges from houses. He's connected the empty child to the thing he's searching for. Nancy knows what he's talking about, but it's guarded by soldiers and barbed wire. She says he needs to talk to the Doctor, lowercase d. Back at his ship, Rose and Jack continue to flirt, and he tells her he has something the time agency might be interested in. Is she authorized to negotiate on their behalf? Rose doesn't really know what he's talking about, but she plays along and says she needs to confer with her companion first. He tells her it's a fully equipped Chula warship. Now, Chula is not a real thing. What it is the name of a restaurant where the writers for the first season got together to celebrate being chosen to write for the first time on the new modern Doctor Who. The last of its kind is this warship. He knows where it is and he can get it for her if the agency names the right price. But they only have 2 hours to decide before a German bomb will drop on it and destroy it. Jack scans the area for alien tech to locate her companion, the Doctor, and in the meantime, the Doctor uses binoculars to monitor the area around the cylinder with Nancy. The Doctor asks her who she lost because she's doing this for a reason, and she admits she lost her little brother Jamie during an air raid. She encourages the Doctor again to speak with the doctor in charge at Albion Hospital. Now, we've heard of Albion Hospital before because it was mentioned earlier this season. It's the same hospital where they took the space pig in Aliens of London. In the hospital, beds are filled with what appear to be corpses wearing gas masks. An elderly man in a doctor's coat shows up. This is Dr. Constantine. He tells the Doctor that there are hundreds of masked patients in the hospital, and he invites the Doctor to examine them, but don't touch the flesh. The Doctor discovers that they all have the exact same injuries to the skull and chest cavity, and that the gas masks appear to be fused to their skin. There's also a lightning-shaped scar on the back of their hands. Dr. Constantine explains when the bomb dropped, it claimed only one victim, but those who came into contact with the victim suffered the same exact injuries, spreading like a plague throughout the hospital. He then tells the doctor that the people in the hospital beds aren't dead. They aren't exactly alive, but they aren't dead either. He says that before the war, he was a father and grandfather, but now he's only a doctor. The doctor tells Constantine he knows the feeling, most likely referring to his granddaughter Susan, who was a companion through many of the doctor's regenerations. She's possibly died during the Time War. Dr. Constantine directs him to room 802, where the first victim was kept, and tells him to talk to Nancy, as the first victim was her brother Jamie, and she knows more than she's saying. He begins to choke on his words and finally forces out, "Are you my mommy?" And the doctor watches in horror as a gas mask takes over his face, just like the rest of the people in the hospital. Rose and Jack arrive at the hospital, where Jack introduces himself to Mr. Spock, much to the doctor's puzzlement, and mocks the doctor and Rose for their out-of-place outfits. Flag girl, because Rose was wearing a Union Jack shirt, was bad enough, but U-boat captain? But Jack is actually right. The doctor's leather jacket is in fact a vintage 1938 German U-boat commander's jacket. Not the savviest of outfit choices, all things considered. Rose explains she had to give Jack a fake name for the doctor since he doesn't have one. Who is he? Doctor Who? Rose becomes the first character in the new series to ask this title question. When questioned by the doctor about the Chula warship, Jack fesses up and admits it's only an ambulance, but it has nothing to do with what's going on. They have ambulances during war too, he tells Rose. It was all a con to sell the ship before anyone found out it was worthless. Back at the house, Nancy's getting food when the child gets inside and eventually corners her in the dining room asking, "Are you my mommy?" Nancy calls the child Jamie. In the hospital, the virus carriers get out of bed and slowly advance on the Dr. Rose and Jack, all calling for mommy. All right, so that's where this episode ends, and for me, it's a hit. Really, anything with Captain Jack pushes all the right buttons for me. Honestly, John Barrowman is a national treasure, and we don't deserve him. The Empty Child is as terrifying as Captain Jack is amazing. I think he might be one of the scariest monsters in the Whoniverse. Something about things that are typically innocent turning bad scares the daylights out of me. All right, next time on Doctor Who, we finish up the story arc as the gas mask zombies are on the rise and the plague spreads across war-torn London. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked what you saw, check out my other videos and hit that subscribe button below. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to be a fan. See you guys later. Bye.